Good morning, Los Angeles, and welcome to the Los Angeles City Council meeting for Tuesday, the 17th of October, 2006. We are here in City Council Chambers, John Ferraro Council Chambers, room 340 on the third floor of City Hall, where we meet every Tuesday, Wednesday, and Friday, except for the first Friday of the month, which we are in Van Nuys City Hall to make it more convenient to our Valley residents. Folks who live in the San Fernando Valley can always go to the council chambers during our regular meetings and testify via remote. And of course, people are invited to come down here to City Hall and to give their public comments on general public comment or on items that have been put on the agenda for public comment. Our agendas are available here at City Hall through the clerk's office, here in council chambers with our great council ambassadors in the back, and also online at lacity.org, where there's a wealth of information about our city departments, our city elected officials, and the services that can improve your lives. We're broadcast live each time we meet on Channel 35, LA City View, and rebroadcast in the evenings on the city's cable system. We are also shown through our city's homepage on webcast at lacity.org. And finally, you can listen to our council meetings and committee meetings through our council phone service, which is 213-621-CITY. With that, we do have a quorum, and Madam Clerk, if we can please call the roll.
Cardenas, Gruel, Han, Weezer, Labange, Padilla, Parks, Perry, Reyes, Rosendahl, Smith, Weiss, Wesson, Zine, Garcetti. 10 members present and a quorum, Mr. President.
All right, thank you. First order of business, please.
Approval of the minutes.
All right, Mr. Smith moves and Mr. Parks seconds. If there's no objection, that'll be unanimously approved. Next order of business.
Commendatory resolutions for approval.
Mr. Padilla moves and Mr. Labange seconds. If there's no objection, those two will be approved. Next order of business.
Mr. President, this is Tuesday, and there is a flag salute.
All right. Mr. Padilla, would you be kind enough to lead us in a salute to the flag, Mr. Padilla? If I can ask everybody in council chambers to please rise for our Pledge of Allegiance, and Mr. Padilla will lead us. Thank you.
Please rise and join me in the salute to our flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Mr. Padilla. Madam Clerk, next order of business.
First items on the agenda, Mr. President, are items noticed for public hearings. Items 1 through 7 are street lighting ordinances, and I believe 12 council members will be present today. Do you wish to hold those on the desk?
Please, let's hold those.
Next then would be items 8, 9, and 10, and the recommendation for council action would be to open the hearing and continue the hearings and ordinances to November 7th.
Okay. Colleagues, if there's no objection, we will open the public hearing and continue those ordinances until the 7th of November. There's no objection, so ordered. Next items?
Next item, Mr. President, is also a public hearing item number 11, and it's a public convenience or necessity in Council District 9, and I believe there are cards on it.
Okay, let's call that special.
Next items are items for which public hearings have been held, items 12 and 13.
Okay, colleagues, anybody wishing to call 12 or 13 special? Anybody wishing to call 12 or 13 special? Seeing none, let's go ahead and open the roll on those, close the roll, and tabulate the vote.
10 ayes.
And those have already had public hearings. Next items, please.
Next items are items for which public hearings have not been held, items 14 through 34. 10 votes are required for consideration, and items 14 and 15 are ordinances. Do you wish to hold those two on the desk?
Yes, please. Let's hold those on the desk.
Then that would be before council 16 through 34.
Okay, colleagues, any specials 16 through 34? 16 through 34, any specials? If not, do we have any cards for any of those?
Council has cards on 61, 62, 66,
I think we have some that are just
67,
coming
and
in for
69.
these ones. Can I get this guy? What numbers do we have specials on, please?
Right now, council is on 16 through 34.
Fill out the yellow card. I know what the cards are doing in the back.
All right, I need
11,
these numbers.
6, yeah.
Hold on one sec. All right, 11, we already had public hearing on. 16, we'll call special for card from the public. 20, we'll call special for card from the public. 26, those will be for this section. Any other specials, colleagues? If not, let's open the roll on the balance, close the roll, and tabulate the vote.
11 ayes.
Okay, those are approved. Next items, please.
And I'm sorry, Mr. President, just to let council know, on item number 11, that is an item that's noticed for public hearing, and there's already a card on that.
Okay, I'm sorry. I thought 12 and 13. We'll keep the 11 one as well. If we can go to the next section.
Next items are on the continuation agenda, and those are items 35 through 41 are public hearing items, and the recommendation for council action would be to open the hearings and continue the hearings and ordinances to November 3rd.
Okay, colleagues, if there's no objection, we'll open those public hearings on items 35 through 41, and we'll continue those till the 3rd of November. So ordered. Next items?
Next items are also items noticed for public hearings, 42 through 48, and they are street lighting district ordinances. Do you wish to hold those on the desk also?
Yeah, let's hold those till there's 12 members.
Next.
All right, next items, please.
Next items are items for which public hearings, have not been held, 49 through 72. 10 votes are required for consideration. And I believe there's a request to receive and file item number 71.
Okay. Colleagues, if there's no objection, we will move receiving and file on 71. And let's hold 49 through 56 till we have 12 members. Those are all ordinances.
Then that would leave 57 through 70, and then also 72. And there are cards that 61, 62, 66, 67, and 69.
Okay, we'll call those special for cards from the public. Any other specials by council members? Yes, Mr. Labange?
Ask if it has been resolved 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25 forthwith.
We have cards on 20, so that's called special, but the other ones, if there's no objection, we'll send
Okay.
forthwith. And after 20 passes, if it does, we will make sure to do
Thank
the
you.
same.
Thank
You got it. Thank you very much, Mr. Labange. Any other specials, colleagues, in this group? If not, let's open the roll, close the roll, and tabulate the vote.
11 ayes.
Okay, those are approved. Next items, please.
Mr. President, do you wish to take up public comment at this time?
I'd like to actually recognize Mr. Weiss first. I know that he has a special introduction that he would like to make, so I'd like to call on our council member from the district, Mr. Weiss, to make the special introduction at this time.
Okay, thank you, Mr. President. Good morning, colleagues. And thank you, colleagues and Mr. President, for allowing me to make a presentation today. The people I want to introduce to you will be gone by Friday, so that's why we're doing it today. And I'm very pleased that my colleagues, the chair of the Transportation and Tourism Committee, Janice Hahn, and my fellow committee member, Bill Rosendahl, are here with me. The folks I want to introduce to you today are Nahum Lees, Hadass Levitan, and Alan Bruan. They are here this week from the State of Israel doing a security assessment at Los Angeles International Airport. The three of them, Nahum is in charge, and the other two of them are his associates. The three of them are the security planning experts at Ben Gurion International Airport in Israel. And what's interesting about and important about what they do is not just the fact that they have designed and engineered the world's leading security systems at an airport. It's not just sufficient that they've designed and implemented those systems, but what they do on a daily basis is assess and analyze and spoof their own systems to try to find the vulnerabilities in their systems to try to make them better. And so that's sort of the mandate they bring to their job every day. It's not to relax and rest and feel confident about the work they've done. It's to constantly try to find the flaws in their system because their enemies are trying to find the flaws in their system and try to make it better. Earlier this year, I went to Israel with Deputy Mayor Maurice Suh and Sheriff Baca, and we spent some time at the airport with Nahum learning about not only how they design the system, but how they try to make it better. And as a result of that trip, we got together with LAWA, and thanks are very much due to LAWA for bringing these experts over and basically giving them the opportunity to spend a week at the airport, kick the tires on the airport, look under the covers at the airport, and they're in the middle of their tour asking very probing questions. And as I say, a lot of credit is due to LAWA for bringing them in and welcoming them in this collaboration, in this partnership. And so I wanted to acknowledge them and recognize them. And colleagues, would you like to say a few words?
Thank you, Jack, for bringing these experts to our City Council chambers. Best practices on issues of security is something the United States of America must be focused on. The fact that my colleague was in Israel, looked at what they did at Ben Gurion Airport, saw the process in place and how they operate is huge for us. The fact that they're here now and partnering with us, as they partner with us, the Israelis, on many things that we commonly agree on, is a great help to the United States. LAWA is a target of terrorism. We've known that since 9/11. Anything we can do to make it a safer place, the better off we are. And I applaud my colleague for bringing them here, and I know that their best practices will be incorporated by our security teams at LAX. Thank you, Jack, for doing this.
Thank you. I also want to thank our colleague Jack Weiss for bringing these experts from Israel here. We know that Israel has certainly been dealing with very serious security issues for a very long time, and we know that they have really worked to increase the security in their own country, and we appreciate the fact that they're coming here to take a look at ours. You know, since 9/11, it's really become a smaller world. It really has become something that we all have to partner on, we have to cooperate on, and security issues are of utmost concern to us in Los Angeles. We hope that you will take a good hard look at what's going on at our international airport, and we hope that you will advise us if you see things that we can be doing better. And then when you're done with the airport, we want you to take a look at the port of Los Angeles, which we also know is a very vulnerable entryway into this country. But again, since 9/11, it's really about these kinds of partnerships with our friends in the international community that can truly help protect all people on this planet. So thank you for bringing them. Thank you for being here.
Thank you, Ms. Hahn. I'd like to invite you to go to Haifa with me, and I'm serious about that, because there is an awful lot that we could probably learn. And I just want to underscore that what we're doing here this week is unprecedented. I'm sure a lot of you know of Israelis who live in the United States, who consult in the United States. There are a lot of Israeli companies that consult. This is the very first time that the actual current security directors from the airport authority in Israel have come to the United States to do an airport assessment. So this is unprecedented, and it's happening in Los Angeles, and I'm very proud of that. And I know our Consul General would like to say a few words, but before the Consul General speaks,
Mr. Labange, if
Labange.
he would like to add his good
Mr.
wishes.
Weiss, thank you for this. Mr. Rosendahl, as your great leadership. Ms. Hahn, I appreciate that. Council General, welcome always. Good to see you and our distinguished guests. It's so important to learn from each other, and I know we would have a lot to learn from you. And I want to send special love and greetings to all of Israel, especially Eilat, our sister city, our second sister city. I was correct the other day when you tried to stump me, Mr. President. Eilat is our second sister city since 1959, and it's wonderful. And I only have one suggestion. If you have 10 minutes before you leave this building, go to this tower. Today is a beautiful day in Los Angeles, to the Tom Bradley Tower. Look out amongst the city. To the southwest, you'll see the tower at LAX, but you get a great understanding of this great basin of Los Angeles and the great mountains and the people here and a vision of this area. And we wish you success on this week, and thank you for your help. There's nothing like a cultural exchange and information exchange and business exchange. This is a wonderful activity. Thank you, Mr. Weiss, for your leadership on this, and welcome home too, Mr. Weiss. Thank you.
thank you, Mr. Labange. We were just talking about towers a few moments ago in my office, different sort of towers. I'd like to welcome the Consul General from the State of Israel, Ehud Hanoch.
Thank you very much. It's an honor to be here. Thank you very much. I'll be very brief. I think these demonstrate the cooperation between the United States and Israel, Los Angeles and Israel. And Jack mentioned it before. 8 months ago, there was a conference in Israel where about 100 decision makers in Homeland Security came to the State of Israel to a special conference in Jerusalem. The largest delegation was from here, from California, but this is actually the first step after that conference. And I think that this is very significant. It shows about the cooperation between the countries. It is important to mention that, unfortunately, in Israel since 1970, we've experienced terrorist attacks, kidnapping. Many of you know the different operations that took place. And this is why we worked very hard on the counterterrorism issue in Israel. And of course, we will share our knowledge together with the experts here in the United States, because we understand that, unfortunately, terrorism became a global phenomenon, and we have to make sure that our citizens will be safe. So thank you very much again. Thank you, Jack Weiss. Thank you for everything. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
So let's give them their certificates. Here, we're going to give you, where should we do this?
Okay, Madam Clerk.
Madam President, there are 12 council members present now. Do you wish to take up the ordinances at this time?
Yes, please.
And the clerk does need a moment to select them all, and that would be items 1 through 7, 14 and 15, 42 through 48, and 49 through 56.
Okay. Give her a few minutes to get that organized. All right, we're ready to go. First item? Okay, open the roll then on all those items. Close the roll. Tabulate the vote.
12 ayes.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Next order of business.
Next item, Madam President, do you wish to take up public comment at this time on items not on council's agenda?
Before we move to that, I just need to clarify with Mr. Wesson, you're taken care of, your matters, okay, thank you. Yes, we can go to public comment now. The first, let's see, we have Mr. Zuma Dog. Yeah, we'll set the clock today at 2 minutes.
Thank you. Hello to everybody watching on TV 35. My name's Zuma Dog, here to talk about a few items. First of all, thank you to the person who approached me in City Hall today. There's been a $50 million bond to build affordable housing in this city, and that was from about last year. So this constituent wants to know when you're going to bring it to motion. The people want to know how and when the money is going to be spent. And also, this person wanted to let you know building and safety issues to eminent domain. Eminent domain does not only displace the owners of the property, but it also displaced the renters. And since we've had skyrocketing rental rates 5 times, we've had 5 times increase than we have in the past 5 months. Rates have skyrocketed more in the past 5 years, so now these displaced renters getting kicked out because of eminent domain can't find apartments elsewhere affordably, so that's something else. Now, regarding LAUSD, the new superintendent, a lot of people complaining because it was done while the mayor was in Asia. Well, I'd like to remind everybody that it doesn't even kick in till January, so don't expect LAUSD to sit on their hands for 3 months. Plus, people should know that the mayor does not get to hire. The council of mayors do not have hiring authority. LAUSD had to pick their own candidate. Now, I'd say it's good. I think it's good we have Admiral Brewer, because something people don't know, the superintendent under AB 1381 is in charge of all spending, all contracts, $20 billion in facility money. So the superintendent, for some reason, although he's supposed to be in charge of the schools, the teachers, the parents, the classrooms, he's got to oversee over $20 billion in construction budget money, and all spending now under the hand of one person. So I think it's good we have a military person so the mayor can concentrate on the schools. And since you don't have to have an inspector general, since they took that out, where instead of must have an inspector general, may have one, I think it's good that we have have an admiral, so he'll be looking over that construction money, and it won't go into the wrong hands. It'll be spent the way it should. Zuma Dog for City Council.
Our next speaker will be Mr. Herman Armando.
Council members, good morning. And to all of you who are aware of the situation that was mentioned earlier, what is going on with LA? Is it deserving of an insult and criticism because of the allegations that are true regarding the special treatment within City Hall, within city departments? For building permits that are illegal and were illegal and atrocious to the infrastructure of our society. What's going on with LA? Are we not aware of what's happening? Let's stop it. This fraud. Mr. David Adelman and those commissioners that should be removed or exemplified should step down as a result of their leadership. Misrepresentation is totally wrong. This action that is an insult to the public proves the demeanor and the intentions was to hurt the public and corrupt Los Angeles by abusing the economy of what could be done and used of that money and of the permits. I think it's important that for any program we have at within a department, the public should know about it. Obviously, acting only in its members and of its special interest people, that's ridiculous and fraudulent. Building safety have repeatedly made negligent mistakes, have negligently lacked the experience to continue to help citizens in the community. I brought this to your attention in the past 3 years, and it still continues to go on. I'm sorry for this negative representation, but it hurts me to see public being insulted by this mannerism.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you. Sir, you're going to have to conclude your comments, please. Thank you. Our next speaker will be, thank you, sir. Miss Valinda Joe Wright is next.
Good morning, council members. It's lovely to see you as always. And I think a dad should help his son out as much as possible, personally. 2 weeks ago on October 2nd, a mother sent her son to the store for a loaf of bread. Next door to the combination liquor store, pharmacy, is a church. It's Ministerio Tudo La Garcia. Families arrive at 7 p.m. almost every evening with their children in tow for a safe harbor for their children. They spend hours in fellowship. As the young teenager arrived at 4379 Southwestern for the loaf of bread that his mother sent him to get before dark, 4 men got out of a van and mortally wounded him. The bullet holes outside the church are patched and painted over, and a sign remains outside the that's the membership's tribute to the young teenagers. Hearts are another matter. Fresh paint won't do. Such a loss is indescribable. But our hearts are strong because Jehovah created them and God didn't create no junk. And there's some other stuff that I wanted to give you also. It's on the other side. He definitely didn't create any junk.
Thank you very much. Our next speaker is Mr. Michael Hunt.
Good morning, City Council. I guess Eric got caught, his dad got caught with his hand in the cookie jar, but I come to talk to you about the 4215. You got a second lawsuit bill from Carol Sobel's office that was probably filed I guess you guys are really not learning. I was talking to one of the officers in the back, and he said it best in 1997 that it was a federal mandate order. They're trying to run us out of Venice Beach. It's not going to happen. We're not going to leave here. I think, Bill, that's one of your downfalls, is not putting people back to work. Ms. Perry, regarding your homeless situation, you cannot go downtown and get homeless shelter. That's a fraud. I went over to the Central Division and requirement, and the officer didn't even know regarding the whole program if you wanted shelter or not. So I think that's another thing that you guys ought to look at, the ordinance that you guys got for 90 days. I think that each and every one of you guys should go down there and check it out, because when your own front officer or the front officer at the Central Division don't know what's going on, that's really sad. And you ask him, you know, he calls a shelter and he gets no response, and he's trying to run you for criminal acts or whatever. That's just really wrong. But like I said, we're going to be here until this ordinance get changed. We're going to be here. And like Bill said, we make an impact. Bill, you really got problems in the 11th
Madam President, the Speaker should be reminded that he should address the body as a whole.
I would request that you comply with the council's rules of decorum.
Okay. What rules are those? Have there been some new rules since last?
That's Rule 12.
Rule 12, but last time I spoke on it, it was you could address it an individual. Should I go to the city clerk's office and get a copy?
That has never been the case.
Huh?
So thank you very much, Mr. Hunt. Our next speaker will be Mervyn Evans.
Ladies and gentlemen of the City Council and our good friends throughout the city, I'd like to direct you to a website titled SaveKingDrew.info. A message to the President of the United States has been forwarded there. This hospital, King Drew, is absolutely pivotal in the event of a major national event or an act of terror. Every community should have access to an emergency room. I want to say thank you, Ms. Perry, Ms. Hahn, also for your active involvement and active concern for the welfare and well-being of this hospital. The second thing that I'd like to remind folks is that we have a responsibility to ensure that all of our citizens have access to health care. Over 70 hospitals in the last 3 years have lost their emergency rooms. That's a national disgrace. That's a national security issue. And it would be my personal hope that this council will refer to the Fire Department Commission to attend to getting serious about this problem, getting our mayor serious about the problem that 40% of our neighbors don't have health care, that far too many of our citizens are using the emergency room as a doctor's office. It would also be my hope that the city would create a program in which a city attendant is at a hospital and that the attendant lets the paramedics back out onto the street as quickly as possible. We sometimes have 2-3 trucks that are ambulances that are waiting with a patient. It would be far better, Mr. Wesson, I believe, to have a city coordinator at the hospital who receives and lets that truck up and out and go. Number two, it would be my hope, Madam President, that the city would warmly embrace Admiral Brewer, bring Admiral Brewer in for a City Hall reception, give our school district a second chance, give them, in fact, a first chance. Mr. Weezar, as you know, our city desperately needs an effective school board.
Thank you very much, Mr. Evans.
And here's a copy of the videotape going to...
Thank you so much. Our next speaker will be Mr. Matthew Dowd.
Thank you very much. Nice to be back on Channel 35. Wanted to claim victory for last week. I called on Rocky to resign. Had he just listened to me, he could have saved himself having to read about him getting superseded on Friday with the new attorney that the CLA's office suddenly has. So we're ahead. In fact, if you look at that page on Friday in the LA Times, there's also a thing about how feces can carry dangerous bacterium from one property to another, and that's probably happening around here. Ethics problems. I couldn't figure out why the acting mayor is such a high achiever, but now I know it's a dysfunctional family. His dad's blaming his mum for everything. Like, take responsibility if you're the president of the Ethics Commission. I mean, what a joke. Either you knew about it or you didn't. Either you're writing checks and you're not looking at who they are. I mean, I wish I could slip a few checks to your mum for $500 with my name on them. But I want to welcome the new superintendent. You know, I think he looks like he's got some kind of ethical, moral standards, comes out of the armed forces. He's a supply chain kind of guy. It looks like he's going to get resources into the schools, not just build them. Because I think that's what's happening now is this whole board of mayors and city, they want to get their hands on all the building projects, but they really don't care about the education, I don't think. I seen an interview of Eric Garcetti where he said the siding was the most important issue.
Thank you very much, Mr. Dowd. We have no further cards for public comments, so that will end the public comment period. Madam Clerk, what is our next order of business?
Next item, Madam President, is item number 11, and that was called special for a card from the public.
Our first speaker will be Mr. Richard Smith.
Good morning, members of the council. My name is Richard J. Smith. I'm representing the United Coalition East Prevention Project, and I'm here to speak about the proposed bar called the Associates, located in the PE Lofts near 6th and Main. I'm requesting a delay in your approval as we have not had a chance to have our input with the owners and other folks who represent the proposed facility. The public hearing was on June 22nd. We did not receive a notice or did not notice the posting of the public hearing until after July 1st. Therefore, we could not have our input until after the public hearing was held. Therefore, again, we request that you delay approval of this until we can meet with the Peterson Group and the owners of the proposed nightclub or bar. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, sir. Mr. Matthew Dowd.
Thank you very much. Just want to mention there's a new site on YouTube. It's called LA City Hall. It's relevant,
Mr. Dowd,
I think.
if you could please speak on the topic
Yeah,
before us.
this little piece I'm doing right now, this is going to be on YouTube, on LA City Hall. That's the
Again,
username.
I'll have to request that you stay on topic, please.
Okay, this one is a public convenience alcohol. Obviously, the Brown Act hasn't been adhered to if we're going to listen to any of the public comments that were just made. You know, there needs to be public hearings on these before they go to even to the city, because you're just going to pass this with a unanimous yes here. So I'm calling for a continuation, Mr. City Attorney, but anyway, these alcohol things, it looks like they just handed out, it's a discretionary thing again, and I'd like to see some kind of serious enforcement on Mel Gibson and not Paris Hilton.
Thank you very much, Mr. Dowd. Our next speaker will be Mr. Michael Hunt.
LACityHall.com, YouTube.com. YouTube.com. Now, the liquor thing. Let's cut all the liquor license now. We got enough liquor stores and alcohol refineries in Los Angeles, and take hold of it and do something about that. I'm thinking all of you guys call a moratorium for alcohol. All right.
Our next speaker will be Elizabeth Peterson.
Good morning, council members. This project is a part of a master CUP that was issued to Pacific Electric Building under ZA 2005-7018 CUB-CUX, issued August 18, 2006. The grant approved development of several leaseholds. However, this motion is specific to public convenience and necessity on a 2,475 square foot bar lounge that is specific to live jazz music. This leasehold is part of the redevelopment of the historic 1904 Pacific Electric Building. The building is fully occupied and has a great deal of vacant leaseholds on the ground floor. I would like to state that I vetted this project extensively with all of the neighbors, the residents. We had 3 neighboring meetings. We worked with the Los Angeles Police Department, Sergeant Walker and Captain Smith. We had Councilmember Jan Perry's office present. Brandy Chappelle was with us at several of these meetings. We also met with the CCA and DLANG. We sent out to the 500-foot prior to the hearing for notification to everybody. And we felt that this was a great usage for this leasehold. The area is still dark and unwalkable at night. We thought that a strong presence with a great operator would enhance the area. Kohl's is the only thing that's up in that block right now. This applicant has over 30 volunteered conditions and a full security staff. So we thought that it was right for the area, it was right for the building, and we really vetted this project extensively. Therefore, I'd like to state that it be approved at this time. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. There are no speakers in the queue. Madam Clerk, would you please open the roll?
Unanimous.
Close the roll. Tabulate the vote.
13 ayes.
Mr. City Attorney, I think you have something you wanted to add.
Thank you, Madam President. To further the orderly process of the meeting in a timely manner and thus avoid the possible loss of a quorum, if a member of the public wishes to speak on more than one item, he or she shall limit his or her remarks to a total of 6 minutes per meeting. Unless council grants additional time by majority vote, a member of the public may allocate time between items in 1-minute increments up to 2 minutes. Members of the public speaking on a particular item shall constrain their remarks to that item or be ruled out of order.
Thank you very much, Mr. City Attorney. Madam Clerk, our next item.
Next item, Madam President, is item number 16, and that was called special for a card from the public.
All right, our first speaker on that item will be Mr. Matthew Dowd.
Thank you. Yeah, this is a nice little thing for Griffith Observatory to give these guys the concession to operate the coin-operated telescopes. Tom LaBonge, I want to see him up in the president's chair. He needs to be the mayor. He's got all the right angles. I like the guy, and this is one of his pet projects. But the one thing I did want to comment on is that you're giving this concession for the operation and maintenance of coin-operated telescopes for a term of 10 years with one 5-year renewal option subject to the approval of the city attorney. Now, when this was drafted, I wonder which city attorney we're talking about, because what if the CLA attorney doesn't like this and the city attorney, Rocky, does? See, we're walking into a big minefield here of conflict of interest. Once again, Rocky, just hand in your chips, cash up. They put you in a spot where, you know, who is the city attorney now? I think we got 17 of them. There's 15 in here.
Madam President,
one in
the speaker's off topic. He can be...
Thank you very much, Mr. Dowd. You're off topic now. So thank you. And that's your third warning for today. There are no further cards on this item and no speakers in the queue. Madam Clerk, would you please open the roll, close the roll, tabulate the vote.
13 ayes.
Next item, please.
Item number 20, called special for a card from the public.
Mr. Matthew Dowd.
Yeah, thanks for the public comment. I tried to actually submit cards on all of these items, 20 through 25, because they're all relative. These preferential parking districts and establishing all these temporary preferential parking districts all around Griffith Observatory. What I want people to keep an eye on is that what they do is they bring one of these preferential parking things and they just put it in one street or in a couple of streets, and it means if you got guests coming to your house, people visiting, you got to come and get permits and everything now. And I think the system's good in certain places which really need it, but you need to watch out for letting them creep out. I mean, this looks like they're, there's like 5 pages of them now. So I know Mr. LaBonge has got the best interests of the observatory and the city at heart. And that's why I'm promoting him, and I'm serious. I want to see him up there in the president's chair because this is a great city, and he's got the most passion for it. I've seen him up there. It was great the other day. But I want you to watch out for these parking districts because I know they're coming to Venice too. And it sounds like a good idea in theory, but then once you start bringing out permits and everything, you can start to make criminals out of victims once again, because these are just innocent people want to park their car, they're visiting their friends, and they wind up with some kind of citation. And I'd like to talk to someone about some citations too. There's a lot of anomalies and some parking citations I just received. I don't know if Mr. LaBonge is up with that. Yeah, I got 2 identical parking tickets, and they turned out to be different amounts.
Your time is up, sir. There are no further cards pending. Madam Clerk, would you please open the roll, close the roll, tabulate the vote. Next item, please.
13 ayes.
Next item is item 26, and that was also called special for cards from the public.
Mr. Dowd has had his 6 minutes for today. He is the only... All right. The clerk has advised me that you may have one more 2-minute for today, and that's it. Mr. Matthew Dowd, you have one more opportunity to speak for 2 minutes.
This is I think I only had 2 minutes, and this is a $1,500 dog and pony. Bisexual and transgender awareness. It looks like the city of Los Angeles is now, in effect, sponsoring activities that, are borderline amoral. Some of them, I mean, I don't think it's healthy for Wendy's kids to be seeing this on LA City View 35, that the city is sponsoring this kind of thing. But I've got to talk to Tom. Thank you.
Thank you very much. There are no further speakers in the queue. I'm sorry, no further cards on this item. No speakers in the queue. Madam Clerk, please open the roll, close the roll, tabulate the vote. Next item.
13 ayes.
Next item is item 61, and that was called special for cards from the public.
All right. The only speaker on this item is Mr. Zuma Dog.
Hello, check, microphone. I'll just take one item on each. 61 is categorical exemption. You got to watch those categorical exemptions, because here's what this one says. Find this project is categorically exempt from the California Environmental Quality Act. Excuse me, we're trying to be the leader in environmental causes. Why are we waiving the California Environmental Quality Act pursuant to Article 3? You got to watch those categorical exemptions, y'all. I say don't waive California Environmental Quality Acts, because we got them in the first place. We're supposed to be saving global warming and cleaning up the environment, and we're waiving California. We're giving categorical exemptions to California Environmental Quality Act. And let's see, John will save some time right now, because number 62 is also the next item. Number 62, find this project is categorically exempt from the California Environmental Quality Act. Stop waiving categorical exemptions for California Environmental Quality Acts and help save the environment. We're planting 1 million trees, y'all.
Thank you very much. Madam Clerk, I think we can take items 61 and 62 together. Would you please open the roll, close the roll, tabulate the vote?
13 ayes.
All right, next item, please.
Next item, Madam President, is item number 66, call special for cards from the public.
Mr. Zumadog and Mr. Herman Armando.
Okay, right here, it's relative funding. It's relative to funding the Creating with Music projects. Okay, this is for a music project. Of course, I'm all for music. I'm a musician. Except this is money, Central Los Angeles recycling and transfer money to go to a Creating Music project. And I'd also like to say, as I flip the agenda, item number 67. Can I just talk about 67 at the same time? I'll use the same 2 minutes. It's okay? The next one is also the same thing. It's $20,000 in the Central Los Angeles recycling to put it for park improvement, Dodger park improvements. Now, you know, I'm all for park improvements. I'm all for music programs. My question is, are taxpayers paying into the LA recycling station because the money for these parks and musics is coming from the recycling, LA recycling? And if taxpayers are paying that, I'm sure many of them would like to see the money go to where it was allocated for, which is for Los Angeles recycling. Recycling is good for the environment. Again, we're trying to clean up the city and be environmentally friendly and clean up the air, and the mayor's promoting it all over the world, and we're planting 1 million trees, but this is why we see no results. This is why we end up still having dirty air, like they said we're the most dirtiest air city, and that's because, again, you're taking money for the LA recycling station and putting it into a music program. I'm all for music programs. See, there's enough money in this city for all these things. The problem is money's diverted, and then you don't have it for when you're supposed to. Let's see what else here. Yeah, I don't want no recycling money going anything with the word Dodgers, if that's LA Dodgers, okay? There's plenty of money in the city for taking these things, but what happens is we give tax breaks to a lot of the big developers that should be paying money, and then we don't have it for where we're supposed to have it, so we have to take it from recycling and put it into a Dodgers park, and we have to take money for recycling. Again, I'd like to clarify, is this taxpayers' money? Because if the taxpayers are paying into it, the money should go to where it's supposed to, not a music program. Take that money from where it should be.
Thank you very much. Mr. Armando.
Constituent Mr. Herman, I am really sad to admit that the misuse of taxpayers' fundings for inappropriate use, that's not being in a creative, innovative way of expending towards the communities that really need it. Why can't we use this funding rather for the most important thing that contributes to all of us? Why can't we use this funding that's going to make a benefit to the public? Let's make these meetings more appropriate in a sense where we can have more public outreach. That would be a better method of utilizing this money for creating music projects when that's something the school districts can deal with. That's something that a nonprofit can do with your assistance in creating and helping them to benefit maybe by a little extra funding from special interest people who are part of the lobbying here. I am heart-wrecking by all of this. I'm appalled by the atrocities, the confusion, of what you bring to the forefront of these tax-paying dollars, the way they're being used. I just ask that you respect the people here speaking, because what they're saying is true. There are much better ways of using tax-paying dollars today. And I object to the rise of high costs in taxes, in the water and power, to our electrical bills, and what's next? Kick us out of the community because we can't afford our rents, because we can't afford to speak up, because we're too busy working 2 or 3 jobs? Is this what Los Angeles is creating?
Madam President, it appears this gentleman is off topic also.
Thank you very much, sir. All right, there's no further cards on this item, no speakers in the queue. And Madam Clerk, this will take care of items 66 and item 67. So would you please open the roll, close the roll, tabulate the vote.
13 ayes.
Thank you very much. Next item.
Item number 69, call special for cards from the public.
We've already gone through those cards. Those are individuals who've used up their 6 minutes for today. Do you have a card on 69? I don't have a card on 69.
Then that one can be voted on. If there are no cards on it.
I don't have a card on item 69. There are no speakers in the queue. You can go ahead and open the roll. Close the roll. Tabulate the vote. Next
13
item.
ayes.
Next item, Madam President, council has motions for posting and referral.
Posted and referred.
And there are excuses on the desk. Councilmember Han requests to be excused October 20th to leave at 11:30 for city business. A motion is required.
Okay, Mr. Garcetti will move, seconded by Ms. Skrull.
And Councilmember Reyes requests to be excused Friday, October 22nd for personal business. A motion is required.
Moved up by Mr. Garcetti, seconded by Mr. Smith.
And that clears the desk, Madam President.
All right, thank you very much. Members, are there any announcements? Any announcements, members? Mr. Rosendahl.
Thank you, Madam President. Tonight at 7 o'clock at the Venice High School, John Chung, a candidate for controller, is holding a hearing on domestic partnership relationships for heterosexuals and gay people as well, and pointing out how you can get the proper support for domestic partners. So anybody interested in that, please come to Venice High School tonight at 7 o'clock. Ted Lieu will also be there, the Assemblyman, and I'll be opening up the program. Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you very much, Mr. Rosendahl. Members, if we could all rise, are there any adjourning motions? Mr. Labange, please stand. Mr. Labange, do you have an adjourning motion?
Yes, I do, members. I just wanted to ask we adjourn in memory of Freddie Fender, the great country artist who did a wonderful 69 years old. There's a great bio on him, but he had a great song, and in tribute to him, I asked that audio play at the conclusion of this meeting. The next teardrops fall. Freddie Fender lived to be 69. Beautiful man, beautiful. Song played at the Palomino.
Thank you very much, Mr. Labange. Members, are there any other? Mr. Parks.
I'd like to ask us to adjourn in memory of Mamie Clayton, who passed away on Friday. Services are pending, but many of us are aware that she has been resident generally in the 8th and 10th district most of her life. She has probably the largest collection of material as it relates to black movies and also books that have been published. And just very recently, through the efforts of Supervisor Burke, she has been given a home for that collection in Culver City. And what was something that her son Avery had worked on, in fact, he had retired in order to find a place to get his mother's collection appropriately housed. It was the day that he came home to tell her that that deal had been cut, that the collection has a permanent home, that she passed away. And so I believe that their funeral service will be somewhere around this coming weekend. I'd like us to adjourn in her memory.
And if I may, Mr. Parks, take this privilege to request that all members go on this tribute. The contribution that this lady and gracious lady made to preserving the history and the history for all of us in Los Angeles has been enormous and will resound for many, many decades and years to come. So I think it would be fitting of her to honor her life in this way. Mr. Wesson.
She was so determined to take this collection, which is unbelievable. I personally had the opportunity twice to go to one of the homes. I think she was in the 10th district then, and she had some kind of a metal shelter where, and there were letters from slaves. I mean, it's unbelievable. but she wanted this collection to be housed in a place where she controlled it. And everybody, including myself, because we were concerned about the possibility of losing this valuable piece of history, said, well, why don't you partner with a library, or why don't you do this? And she just would not do it. I am so glad that she stuck to her guns. And it looks as though, I can remember when I was just recently with the supervisor's office and the talks began about location in Culver City. So this shows what happens when a person dreams and they stick to it. And once this opens, I would suggest that all members go and see it. It will literally blow your mind. I have never seen anything. This is probably the best on the planet. But anyway, she was a great lady, and this is a perfect way for us to say thank you and goodbye to Dr. Clayton.
Thank you very much, Mr. Wesson. Any other adjourning tributes? Mr. Reyes?
Thank you, Council President. It was great sadness that we joined with the Community Development Department in adjourning in the memory of Nong Tan, a CD employee who passed away on Tuesday, October 10, 2006, 1 month prior to his retirement from city service. Nok was a longtime resident of Highland Park in Council District 1. The Tan family now resides in the city of Lake Forest. Everyone in city service knew Nok as a kind, friendly, and happy individual. Nok served as an accountant with CDD's Financial Management Division, where he was in charge of the loan and insurance section. He began his city career with the Community Development Department in 1985. As of October 2nd, he served 21 years, almost all of which was in CDD. We join with CDD and the Tran family in expressing our sadness and condolences. Bereavement tales are pending.
Thank you very much, Mr. Reyes. Any other adjourning tributes? Well, thank you very much. This concludes today's meeting. City Clerk, please call the roll.